food related?
No, it is not
shut up.
food related.
Nope. No, you don't. You got to start the podcast where you can ask
Put
those
the Red
questions.
Sea on the list.
Then we better start episode 448 of We Were Gamers, a podcast with mysteries about red dye in the sea, or the Red Sea, or some sea. Michael, how you doing?
I am doing okay.
JJ, you're here too.
Yeah, I am. Thanks.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you're here too. Well, great.
What?
Yeah, thanks.
Well, you didn't start us off with a mystery, okay?
That's true. Fair point.
This is not food really. Usually, Michael, you are like, put it on the list and it's a mysterious thing. 88.73% of the time, it's about food.
That's fair. Usually I have either something amazing to report or a crime to bring before the court. But not today.
Today, you're captaining a ship.
Do you guys want to hear about a quick way to basically set $140 million on fire?
God, I could do that pretty easily. Oh no, am I on delay again?
I don't know. Are you?
Test. Yes, I am way on delay again. God damn it. I don't know what causes this problem. I have no idea what causes this problem. I think that in 2 or 3 weeks, once this current project is done, I'm just gonna wipe this computer and start over. I don't know what else to do.
I mean, neither of us are using Voicemeeter, and you are. That has to be related in my mind.
And the only way I can get around Voicemeeter is by like wiping out and starting over with all new systems, probably, because Voicemeeter installed a bunch of stuff in the background that probably will still keep conflicting with things.
Okay.
Yeah.
While I was waiting for the restart, I understand that sports are broken down by age. And one of the sports I like the least for a lot of reasons, but is basketball. And one of them is because if you're tall, you're good. And really, it's unfortunate. There's this 14-year-old kid that's 7'4". They got video and it's like, look at this kid's highlights. It's like, he's not doing anything. He's standing in the key and just putting the basket up. Nobody can touch him. I don't know.
Yeah. That'll catch up with him if he doesn't actually have the fundamentals and the skills to compete.
All right. Well, what were we talking about, Captain?
Yeah. So the USS Harry S. Truman is an aircraft carrier that is stationed in the Red Sea.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this one. It's kind of slippery, huh?
Yeah, apparently. So about a week ago, a tug was pulling one of the F-18s out of the hangar on the deck of the ship, lost control, and basically went over the side with the aircraft. So both the tug and the plane got dumped into the Red Sea.
Whoops.
It's pretty expensive.
That is expensive.
At least it was an F-18.
True. You know what's even more expensive? It happening again.
Oh no.
So apparently today there was a failed landing and another F-18 went over the side into the Red Sea.
They should probably stop Vaseline-ing the deck.
You would think something. Put guardrails up.
I think the failed landing stuff on carriers happens way more than you probably want to hear about.
I think it does. Like it's a hard thing to land, a fighter jet on an aircraft carrier, especially one that doesn't have vertical takeoff and landing.
Yeah,
vertical takeoff and landing is a scam, and it always has been.
I mean, it works for helicopters, but kind of nothing else.
Yeah.
The only way to make it work for planes is to turn them into helicopters.
Pretty much.
You just put the rotor somewhere else.
And the ones that we have done it with before are all getting decommissioned. So, and that one that they're trying to do it with, the F-35, is still not in deployment after 10, 15 years of development. the in the amount of time that the Marine Corps said they wanted a vertical takeoff and landing F-35, they have decided they don't need tanks anymore. An entire wing of the U.S. military that will no longer use tanks.
Yeah, I mean, who uses tanks anyway, right?
Well, I mean, the Russians kind of just proved that you probably don't want to use very many tanks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's getting into global politics. Thanks, Harry S. Truman.
Yep. So,
Yeah, his fault.
Yeah.
scuba ventures in the Red Sea.
Jeez Louise. Well, since we're near the Mediterranean, at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should talk about things happening near the Mediterranean and the Vatican. JJ,
Yeah.
I made a promise that took me 2 weeks to keep.
The We Were Gamers way. We got there eventually.
Michael, are you all right if we talk about the ending of Conclave?
I can guess that a pope gets chosen.
Ooh, you would be almost correct.
No,
I guess he does get chosen.
They choose him, yeah.
He, JJ?
Well, I think that's what they call themselves.
Mm-hmm. There's a very good, very, very good movie in there with what a twist at the end.
Okay.
I don't think it was necessary, JJ. I don't dislike the twist. I think it's fine, and it is actually poignant considering what the film was debating between the different cardinals about how to treat the future.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's why it's the twist of the film.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't come out of nowhere completely.
No.
It is kind of a gotcha at the end, though.
It is a little bit of but see, good thing that we elected this pope that will understand the plight of people. There's a little bit more direct messaging of what they think church values should be rather than the intrigue of who should win this thing. It was a little bit more prescriptive than I thought it was gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't dislike it. I'm just saying it was kind of a not out of, like you said, it's not out of nowhere. They tell you that this character had medical issues, etc.
There's clearly something going on, right?
There's something going on.
Yeah.
I laughed out loud, and I turned to my wife in the middle of it when they said, Lawrence, you're the only hope now of stopping Tedesco. And I was like, every single vote they've pointed out, even when he had one vote, that Benitez has been on the ballot. Why are we going to be surprised at the end of this movie when Benitez is part of this? Like, there were 35 other votes in the first vote for other people. Benitez got one, and we still mentioned it. And you think that this other character is the only hope? Like, but that's. Why are we talking like this?
I mean, I think you're meant to believe that he's voting for himself, right? And so that it's like, oh, he hasn't chosen or whatever. He's still a free, available vote or whatever. But obviously, that's not where it goes.
Yeah. Wacky movie. Very good that something like that could be as intriguing as it is. Although, fascinating that I got about halfway through, and I was like, this is going to be one of those movies that I'm going to point to later and be like, see, movies can be good without a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens, JJ? There, Michael, in the middle of the film is a terrorist attack, a series of terrorist attacks that changes the course of the film.
Right. I guess, do they show people with guns? I guess they do. They do show people with guns, right?
I don't recall if they showed the guns, but definitely like the threat of violence comes home when the explosion takes off half the Sistine Chapel.
Yeah, it's implied, right? There's a big, one of the buildings of the Vatican is hit by a bomb or something.
The Sistine Chapel is hit by a bomb.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They are in fact in the Sistine Chapel voting tomorrow. today.
Yeah.
Whatever
I
day
guess
this
I don't
comes
know how
out,
it
we'll
works,
have
yeah.
already started. Yeah.
Remember I told you it's very close to how it works in reality, like the actual like process and all that stuff.
It was surprisingly poignantly directed at being accurate. Yeah.
So the thing that I read that was talking about it and the movie said the one thing that isn't accurate to like how it goes down is the cardinal showing up at the last minute and saying like, "Hey, I'm a secret cardinal. The Pope appointed me." Like that part is not possible.
Yeah. Can you appoint a cardinal in secret
And then have
because
like
because
the
he
official seal
works
or
in
whatever.
Kabul?
And I think the thing the article I was reading was talking about was that, yeah, well, like in the old days, we're talking medieval history, right? Like pre-modern transportation and communication methods, that did happen because like a guy on the other side of the earth dies, you don't hear about it for a week. Like it's just how long it took stuff to happen,
Yeah.
right?
If you heard about it ever.
And so, yes, that did happen then, right? But the Pope still has to appoint new cardinals. So, like, if that guy died, they would have no cardinal, and then you'd have to wait, to get another cardinal appointed or whatever. And then there's this whole process. But they can't just have like a secret one that no one knows about. That doesn't happen. Like, they can't just be appointed, like, by the Pope, like while he was, on a drug trip or something. That's not how it works.
They did make a joke I think it was in this movie. I can't remember where I heard the joke because I heard it at the same time as watching Conclave, where it said that everything they know is from the Da Vinci Code or something like that. Everything they know about the Catholic Church is from the Da Vinci Code. And I was like, this is a very Da Vinci Code moment of like, we need to bring in a character that no one's ever met before somehow. Let's make up an order that no one's ever heard of and say they have different rules and all that kind of thing.
It's definitely the writer going like, I need to add more mystery here in the start when there's nothing going on. How can I inject this character that I need to get into the narrative here, in order a way to build mystery and all this stuff. Like,
what's funny to me is like there was plenty of mystery that could have been solved before the conclave in the movie. Like they're panicking to figure out all these mysteries about all these different cardinals and
right when they could have found it out like a week before conclave, right?
There's a title screen at the beginning that says 3 weeks later, and you're like,
what was everyone doing, right? We asleep?
skipped over all the stuff, and they make the beginning of the movie seem like he was murdered. You know what I mean?
It does feel like that, right? And they're like, "Who did it?" It's like, no, he just died.
The music's like brum, brum, all the time. Every scene is like brum, brum. The deep tones of
and like all the cuts every time they show a new person walk in. It's like, oh, this guy's the killer.
Just like, yeah.
No,
I know you had a meeting. I know you had a secret meeting, and then he died. And it's like, okay, bad timing.
Yeah, like he was old? ?
Yeah, had a heart condition. You said yourself he had a heart condition.
Yeah, I don't want to dissuade people from watching the movie. It is very good.
I think it is incredibly good. It was a huge amount of fun to watch. The ending is, I think we spoiled it, but if you didn't want it spoiled, too bad. I mean, it's kind of, you can see it coming a mile away, I think, if you've watched a film before.
I was going to ask, if you didn't bring it up, that how far away did you see it coming? Because it doesn't come out of left field by any means. And I called something like it happening, but not exactly what happened. And you are generally, I consider, more film literate than I am. So I would have been shocked if you didn't see it coming from like the first third of the movie.
I expected it when he shows up. I was kind of like, either he's the reporter that's going to get outed in the next 10 minutes, or he's going to be one of the guys that's considered later in the film because he's like a benevolent. They really do it up being like, look how selfless this man is.
Serene, and
He's
yeah,
so
yeah.
selfless. He's been in war. You know, it's like over and over and over and over. And it's like, okay, all right, I get it. And then there's a scene where it's probably like a third of the way in where it's like, oh, I'm voting for you, Lawrence. You made your amazing speech. And I'm like, oh, this guy's definitely like, he's in it for the long haul.
He's then win, right.
Yeah, and then like I did also call it where then they bring that sister to embarrass the other guy, and it's like, oh, the previous pope. I actually started thinking too hard about it and being like, maybe the previous pope like set a whole bunch of stuff in motion, and we're gonna like find out later on that like
he's still alive.
Like, no, not that he's like still alive, but but definitely like, did he ask that guy to bring this girl so that this guy would get blamed for bringing the girl so that he would the previous pope would eliminate these 4 people, and then he asked the dean not to quit, and he
4D like, chess pope.
You went, Andy. Well, you went full Shyamalan.
Well, I mean, there was a really good moment there where they could have done like Benitez was appointed in secret, but he was appointed in secret like a week before and told to not change his vote for anyone except for Lawrence by the previous pope, right? Like there's a really big subplot you could start writing into there about how the previous pope picked his successor, and like all the intrigue is being steered by a dead man, and you kind of like get into like a non-funny Knives Out situation. You know,
I hear where you're coming from. It would have been bad writing to do that.
Look, man, there's definitely a point where you can think about these things and you're like, okay, cool, that's too complicated for the amount of time that's left in this.
Right.
So it's just going to be Benitez.
All right, look, we got like 30 minutes left here. We don't have time to do this, Andy. Like,
yeah,
there's not going to be the Ocean's 11 scene of showing the Pope like walking around setting all this up.
Oh my God. That would have been so good.
But that's my God. Have,
Stanley Tucci's in the movie.
Yeah, but he's under consideration, right? You can't.
Yeah. But you could have had a great like Italian mobster Ocean's 11 moment of like outsmarting all the cardinals before he died.
Stanley Tucci was great in this movie too, by the way. I really enjoyed his character.
Stanley Tucci came out of nowhere as a really good part of the film, is for me, of like the person that is like, I don't want to actually, I really have been behind the scenes this whole time trying to get it, and like when confronted with my own failure, blame other people, kind of, and that turning on a dime.
It's a real crisis, man. Yeah.
He turns his behavior in one scene on a dime, and you're like, wow, that's like really good acting. You could tell he knew the character inside and out, because the interior strife just popped out like it does with somebody that is in that situation. It was really cool.
It's the pressure cooker, right? And you can see it just eventually boils over, and he goes 100%. Off on him. It was great.
Yeah, 100%. That was really cool.
I think actually the big, is there any swearing in this movie?
I think Tucci might swear once or twice, but it's very similar to my you don't need a gun theory. You probably could have done this movie with no swearing as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I think they say hell a couple of times for sure. I don't know if they say like the F word at all.
I don't think I remember hearing it. Yeah.
Maybe there's a damn in there, but like that's it. And it is like real. Actually, if there's a damn, there's probably one time where someone actually is intending to send someone to hell. So like the actual proper use of damn.
Yeah.
Anyway, great movie. Highly recommended. Fun.
That main character is a really good. He's too good in the sense of like, you get the idea that like for the film he's been written to be as pure as he is. Even he messes up, right? He pulls the thread, and that's why he doesn't get to be Pope too.
Yeah, exactly.
He definitely pulls the thread, and that's it. But the like forgiveness aspect of all that stuff is it's written that way for the viewer, to assess themselves in the situation.
Yeah, I mean, especially Ralph Fiennes, like going through you're like, Andy, you're gonna look in that thing, dude. You're gonna look at it. You want to know what's in that document. You want to read it.
Uh-huh.
It's mega illegal, but you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that's the sin that undoes him, right? So, it's
the beginning of the thread. There are multiple stops along the way. It's really cool. It's actually really cool. It's like I can't remember what it's called, but it's similar. It's called gate writing or something like that. You give your character a bunch of gates, and it's like, you can stop at this gate, but here's the key. It's right there. Like different ways you can get the key to the next gate. And if you just keep opening them, you might find what's at the end. But in this series of things, you've now accomplished everything you wanted to do, right? Like you can keep gate checking characters and see if they ever stop. It's a writing trick.
Well, and it and then it shows the character's character, I guess, right? That well, you said you would, you had these sort of morals, and look, you did this instead, right? Like,
yeah, it really is a testament to the movie not being entirely about the plot. They're going to elect a pope, and it kind of, for the viewer, doesn't matter which one. We're not invested, right? Like,
it's certainly at the beginning, you don't give a crap at all, right? Like, who are these guys anyway?
Yeah, I don't know any of them. And by the end, you're like, okay, they picked the.
And honestly, like, even, aside from your personal politics, like, the movie doesn't have, it weighs its hand on the scale by the end, I'm sure. But yeah. I think the movie doesn't have a ton of stakes in which side of the politics win the election either, right? It's like all the sides are present.
Yeah. I think most of the way it tries to invest you in character stakes, most of the way. And then the ending is definitely like, this is the moment after the explosion, and they're in the church, and Benitez has his speech. You're kind of like, you put your thumb on the scale, writer.
Yeah. Well, they needed something to shift the scale, right? And that's what it was.
Yeah. Very good. Glad I watched it. Would watch again. 9.8 out of 10. JJ, what's this Gundam anime, and how many letters are in it? Because
it's a few. There's a few in there. Hey, Michael, you like Gundam?
I do.
Michael,
like Gundam.
Do you like Gundam?
It has been a long time since I have watched one, though.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Okay, what is your Gundam knowledge? We should do We should do one. We should do a watch along of some sort of short Gundam thing. 2, what is the podcast's Gundam knowledge? And what ages do we have we focused on in terms of Gundam? Because I don't think this is a discussion we've ever really actually had.
Good point. Michael, you want to start? I feel you're probably
mine is probably pretty limited. I know I've seen a little bit of Mobile Suit.
The original.
Yeah, the original. I'm trying to remember what else I watched.
Did you watch any of that Gundam Wing on Toonami?
That's what it would have been. Yeah, that's probably what I would have watched the most of.
So Wing was definitely the onboarding for me.
Wing was the onboarding for most of the U.S., I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's where I started for sure.
It was on Toonami after school.
Yes.
And then also on Toonami after Wing was 08th, but it wasn't for very long because 08th is very short.
Yeah, there's only like 7 episodes or something.
And then Gundam Seed was on Toonami at a certain point, and there's a billion episodes of that.
I watched a bunch of Wing. I got way into that, and then I don't think I saw 08th at that time. I circled back and watched it later, and then I saw I watched like the first couple seasons of Seed, and then kind of fell off.
Yeah.
And then I went back and watched Mobile Suit like way later when I was in college.
Okay.
I don't know. What about you, Andy? Did you? Oh, and then like some of the stuff more recently. You got me to watch Iron Blooded Orphans.
So good. Did you ever finish Iron Blooded Orphans?
I think I fell off in like the middle of the second season.
Okay. It did slow down in the middle, and in the end really took off. Let's see. I definitely got onboarded by Wing, and then loved 08MS Team, which actually took me out of Gundam for a little while to Pat Labor. I don't know if you ever heard of that anime.
I have.
I have not.
Oh man, I should endow you with an archive of videos of those in a totally legal way.
Oh, okay.
True 90s and early 2000s anime sharing right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
May I tell you, Andy, that they are doing a remake of Pat Labor? Modern animation?
Sounds like you got him.
Well, it's pretty awesome. I'm into that. Yeah. Pat Labor's awesome. What's the most famous-ish one? I can't even remember the name of it right now. I'm so distracted by thinking about new Pat Labor and old Pat Labor. With the aircraft carriers, Macross. That's what
yeah. That was probably before our time, right? That was like the
100%,
80s and 70s in the US.
That's Mobile Suit Gundam era. So 08MS Team led me to Macross and Pat Labor. I watched all that, and I was like, these are really good. I should go back and watch more Gundam. So I went back and watched Mobile Suit Zeta, Char's Counterattack, War in the Pocket.
War in the Pocket is really great.
War in the Pocket is
maybe one of the best
fantastic.
things. Maybe, yeah.
I think, and I'm not sure this is true because I have not watched all of Gundam, but I think the short form OVAs that are like 15 episodes or less are generally speaking the best. And while I think Wing is great and Seed is pretty good and Iron Blood was pretty good, things that stick out in my mind stronger are like Endless Waltz OVA, Stardust Memory OVA, stuff like that. I haven't watched a lot of the newer stuff. Like
There's been some good stuff recently.
Hathaway is still in my
I was gonna say
to watch list.
I watched that on Netflix not that long ago. That was pretty good.
You watched Witch from Mercury?
I did not. And that show is ongoing, so there's a second season of that coming.
Okay.
But I have heard it is very good. The thing that it's actually worth bringing up with talking about Witch from Mercury, that is a offshoot timeline.
Oh. Not UC timeline, Michael.
Correct.
Much like, I don't know what it's much like actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, the Gundam universe has a UC, which is the Universal Century.
Okay.
I mean, it's
and then
basically
they also
unified timeline, right? Of like all the shows and where they take place during the actual chronology.
And Seed is also a spinoff?
A lot of them are spin-offs.
Yeah, Seed is not Universal Century though, right? It's not,
no.
It's
not.
What do they call it? I'm gonna have to look that one up because I don't remember. Anyway, a lot of them use Universal Century, which means they're all in that timeline. Wing is not in that timeline.
It's also
Wing
a
is
spin-off.
AC. Wing is after Colony. The very famous opening to Wing after Colony 195.
Which again, these are all like all the dates and stuff are spin-offs from the Universal Century timeline, and so it's like, oh well, at this point in the Universal Century timeline, this one branched and now started doing other stuff, right?
Thank you for explaining that correctly instead of me just being like, look at all these cool different ways of counting the time. Yeah, so they tell you when they spin out, and they create a different timeline.
Yes, and so Witch from Mercury is a similar situation, right? It's its own little timeline. And I have been watching the new one, which is on Amazon, Gundam Quux.
Come again?
How do you spell that? You might ask.
Yeah.
Quuuuux. I think I got enough U's in there.
That's a whole lot of U's. Is there a reason for that?
There's 6 U's
Not that I
according
can-
to this article.
Not that I can tell. There's no reason as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Huh.
Quux, apparently, is how they pronounce it in the show.
Okay.
Or often it is called G-Quux because you're talking about the Gundam.
Oh, the Gundam is G-Quux?
Yeah, so they're like, oh, you know how they have like model designations? And it's like
Yep.
RX-78-2 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This one is G-Quux. That's the model designation.
I mean, they've started to run out of ideas, maybe, on...
This is also an alternate timeline. But the thing that I think is very cool about this is this one, the alternate timeline starts way farther back than a lot of them. And it is an alternate timeline of original Mobile Suit.
Oh. Wait,
Hmm.
no, but it's... Oh. When is the spin-out time? I've got to pull up the timelines to figure that out.
Very early, because what happens is Char blows up the Gundam base in the very beginning of Mobile Suit Gundam. Instead of like reconning and leaving, he like attacks and captures the Gundam, and Zeon has the Gundam and wins the war.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then it spins out from there and has a bunch of interesting, there's still colonies, there's, a bunch of stuff happens. But the cool thing is they have these flashbacks and you meet characters from Mobile Suit Gundam in this universe because they're all still alive. Like Char shows up.
Oh, yeah. That would make sense.
You have the other characters, some from the mostly from the Zeon side, right? Because you assume the other side is dead. But the Witch from Mercury shows up in this. The what was the commander's name? Shoot.
I don't remember.
Anyway,
It's all run together for me.
but a bunch of them show up, and it's cool to see. Like, oh, this is that guy. Like, this is the guy. Like, it's in a more modern animation style, but it's definitely still the same character. Which is really cool to see, like, their take on, these sort of old classic characters. And it definitely still looks like them,
I do like that the older Gundam styles will probably be more prevalent rather than later when the Gundams turn into anime versions of anime. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the older Gundam styles were intricate, but they were simple, right? I mean, like, go look at RX-79, right? It's just a soldier with a head on a suit of armor, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's not very fancy. And then you get to like Endless Waltz or
Wings.
Yeah, you had like functional like wings. You had what was the one in Iron Blooded that was like had spikes and craziness and could like go underground?
Oh yeah. The shoot.
The psychic one.
There's a bunch of psychic ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, this show is pretty good. I'm really enjoying it. Obviously it has like, a new character and, there's a whole mystery going on and, what happened to the Red Gundam and where's Char and yada yada. So I think it's, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's one of those, it comes out weekly. I think there's like 4 or 5 episodes out.
They were releasing it weekly on Amazon?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which
Okay.
is what Amazon does with all their stuff. That's what they did with Invincible. That's what they're doing with most of their shows, I think.
I thought for some reason in my brain, because it's anime, I would have felt like it would have already been finished, but it makes sense if it's just coming out and it's fresh and new, that it wouldn't be, it would not be like
Yeah, I guess to be clear,
all ready to dump all down at one go.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like brand new to the Japanese market as well, or if they already saw the whole thing and now it's just coming out in the West or whatever, but
Yeah.
new to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you go, Michael, I don't know if you really care, but if you go look at the RX-79, right, and then you go look at the ASWG-01, and you're like, one of these reminds me of '90s anime, and the other one looks like a Zone of Enders character. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened to Gundam over time. So being like, oh, we're gonna go back in time a little bit, you know.
So and while these Gundams in this anime, do take place in that older time, so there are Zaku's around. You have these are older Gundams. They still look and move very different than they did in those old shows because the animation is different, right? There's 3D techniques involved, all kinds of stuff.
When you had between first Gundam's like 1980,
late 70s even maybe,
70s, late 70s.
Yeah, and then you've in the middle of all of this, like right around the time Wing is coming out, is Evangelion, right? And that probably changed mech dramas forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
It was extraordinarily influential.
So very cool. I'm excited that Gundam is back. I know it never left, but I feel like if it's available on mainstream places,
and I want to say
Crunchyroll.
And I want to say that Witch of Mercury show is well liked as well. I know it's getting a second season, and the first one was pretty well liked. So
cool. Well, at some point today, we should talk about video games, huh?
I guess.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, let's solve the puzzle of how to get games onto this podcast, Michael.
Let's do it.
How's that Monument Valley 3 puzzle game?
It was good. It was good. It was it was short. I think that's probably my only complaint with it.
It's
Although
DLC.
I guess it is DLC, but I guess it did what it's probably what it didn't set out to do, which is make you want more. And they've already said that they are doing a release every 3 months this year. So mission accomplished, I guess.
Oh, it's like the beginning of a DLC. Are the others going to be free?
I think so. I think it's all just part of having the game. I think they're just releasing them episodically every 3 months. 2 or 3 months. Because the next little chapter says coming this summer.
Okay,
that's cool.
So they're already advertising to you.
I mean, they were when the base game came out in December. You played the I guess there were 10 chapters, and you played through the 10 chapters, and then you could keep scrolling through the section that has the chapter entrances, and there were 4 more doors, and each one said like coming April, coming summer, coming fall.
Oh.
So they had this has been known, that they were coming and what the approximate cadence is since the game debuted.
They have pigeonholed themselves by putting actual dates out, or
Apparently, they only put a month on the first one, though. They put a season on the other ones. So the first one said coming April. So I guess they had the first date planned, and I don't think it doesn't say in game what the next date is, and I don't know if they've announced exactly when they're planning on putting it out.
Man, at least they're more confident in their release schedule than Silksong, huh?
Ooh, yeah.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
Is it though?
It's kind of a joke. It's a joke to me. I don't know.
So I would say that it's that at least this first piece is kind of it's divided into 2 halves. So the first half feels a little bit like busy work. You are helping the character whose story is being told in the DLC to rebuild an island. But it's 3 or 4 different pieces of go out and talk to this character, and then they'll point you to like a ring of flowers in the water that you have to collect. And once you collect them all, bring them back, and the next piece of the island will grow. And every time you grow a piece of the island, you get kind of like a small half puzzle. They're not full on Monument Valley style puzzles. But they're just a single room that you have to navigate your way through, and then it takes you back and you do it again. And you go through that loop 3 or 4 times. Um, which is fine. It feels a little bit like busy work. But
Yeah, it does sound like it.
once you build out the island, it takes you back to the main lighthouse where all the actual chapters are, and then you go through the story chapter.
That's weird. Is
Yeah,
it
it
like
was
a
a it was
warm
a
up?
weird
Do
choice.
those warm you up for the thing you're about to do? Is that why they're sending you these little things? Are they like check-ins for, oh, in this next one you're gonna have to solve stuff like this?
No, not really, because the mechanics of the puzzles that you solve in the actual chapter are different from what are in the little half puzzles that you solve. There's not really the smaller puzzles don't really even have a mechanic to them. It's mostly just rotate the stage to be oriented the right way for you to get where you need to go, as opposed
Hmm.
to the chapter puzzles, which are like spin these blocks on the stage and then twist the whole thing and raise these platforms up, and it's way more complicated and involved, more like the main story was, and more of what I enjoyed in terms of their creativity in level building.
Very cool.
So if they had cut out the first half and just doubled the number of puzzles in the actual chapter, I think I would have been way happier. But like I said, I think it served its purpose. Like it was another good chapter, and I want the next one already. So
Maybe for people that like me probably won't get to it for a while, we'll feel more fulfilled when it's all put out for us at like once.
yeah, if you played through all of it at once, other than the little fetch quest part of it might feel even more weird because you would have just run through 10 chapters of the story and the puzzle.
Yeah.
But yeah, you might feel a little
Huh.
more of that it was a little more of a cohesive whole.
Oh boy. Well, I hope that they hold it up.
We'll see. They've got at least three more installments to get to where they're going with this part of the story.
I tried to do something, and I don't know if you'll be proud of me, JJ, or not. I tried to get back into COTC to finish the story that I never finished.
Oh yeah.
Oh
I think you were
ho!
you were close to the end, right?
Uh-huh.
You were on the
So here's
last
the
fight.
part. Here's the part. I don't know if you'll be proud of me or not. I got in. I tried the fight. It didn't work out, so I uninstalled.
I mean, if you made your peace with being done with it, I'm not mad.
I tried really hard. I really did. I tried that fight. I think I just have been away from the game so long that like that amount of effort to me was just too much to surmount at this point.
It is a
That's fair.
really long fight. Really long.
It really just got to the point where I was like, I'm an hour into this. I'm failing. And I think I'm failing because I'm not into the game enough. I don't want to grind anything else. So that was kind of like a signpost for me to focus my time
This
elsewhere.
is your off ramp.
Yep. It probably always was, right? Like when they changed ownership for me, it was hard for me to get back into it to begin with. It's just
Yep.
kind of a little bit sad. I know you're still playing, Michael. JJ's probably on his way out.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't logged in months.
And I don't think I would poo-poo the game. I think it's a game that I could understand people liking still, especially being invested from the beginning, right? You're enfranchised. Like Mike JJ likes to say with Magic and me getting into it, he's enfranchised, right? It's been there
Yeah.
long enough to have enough rewards to make it worth it to stay. And if you're keeping up with the stuff like you've been doing, I think it's still a good game. I just, yeah, it's time. It's always it's allowed. We're allowed to have a time when it just doesn't make any sense anymore. So
Hey man, it's all about having fun, right? If the fun has faded, go find it somewhere else.
yeah, a place that is trying desperately to bring back the fun for people is Warzone. Speaking of callbacks, like COTC.
Yeah, how's it going?
They brought back the original Warzone map. They recoded the whole thing for the current version of Call of Duty. They every week upgrade the game so that a lot of the jank and stuff that the way the game felt is kind of back to what it was 3 years ago. And I got convinced to go back in and try it out. And I got to tell you, it works. You go back into it and you're like, yep, this feels like it used to feel. The nostalgia factor is working on me. So I've been playing a little bit of that. Only in groups. But
Cool.
nostalgia factor is a big deal, as we'll talk about in our Friday Magic podcast episode. Teaser.
Mm-hmm.
So listen up for that. And I think this is a good spot for us to leave it this week, unless anybody's got something else. I want to save our audiobook discussion for next week.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's probably it.
All right. Well, then let's go play some midweek Magic, JJ. What do you say?
Popper.
We talked about that on Friday, too. In the meantime, Michael, if someone wants to tell us what they thought about Monument Valley 3 or see if they know more about Gundam than we do.
They can email that to Sea Scuba at weweregamers.com.
No. Don't
Sorry.
trick them. We're
they
not
can
setting
send
up
that
that
to-
email address.
They can send that to podcast at weweregamers.com.
Have you stolen that Blue Sky address yet? Because you better.
Oh, I should. I really should.
I mean, it feels like a joke account that could go a long time. That thing's got legs.
No, it has fins, Andy.
See what I mean? I was really sitting here hoping someone would make any sort of pun out of what I said, and you hit the nail on the head, you guys. You could say you stuck the landing.
Oh my God. Get this man truly a dad joke.
It